This is a presentation of WCTV, all volunteer community access television from the Township of Washington.
Hi, good evening. My name is Emily Kratzer. I'm one of the volunteers here at WCTV. We're doing an Exit 168 show from Bergen County, Washington Township, Bergen County. And tonight we have as a topic health, diet, nutrition. And our guest tonight is Eva Conover, who is a health coach. Eva, tell us a little bit about how you got into this health coaching stuff.
Well, I've been a yo-yo dieter pretty much my whole life, and I reached a certain age where I was starting to become one of the statistics. Bad news from the doctor, you know, you're on your path to this, that, and the other thing, and got ready with the prescription pad and never once mentioned a lifestyle change or a diet or just let me start filling you with medication and we won't look at your lifestyle. Yeah. So I said, wait a minute, just give me a few months, let me try this out. And I just decided that day that I was going to get healthier. I started exercising. I really changed my eating habits, and that was about 7 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. I've never felt better.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you must have done a lot of self-education on this. You had to have...
I did. I started out with a pretty intense exercise program where I really learned the basics of healthy eating, and then I got so absorbed in how much better I was feeling, I went on to school and went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York City and learned more about holistic nutrition and became a certified health coach.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in our society today are getting that kind of insight through programmed, how shall we, without you know, mentioning specifics, but programmed eating regimens and some successful diet programs over the years that make you look at your portions, look at your nutrition, look at your overall activity.
Right. Yeah. There is so much information out there, and most of it's pretty good. But one of the things that I try to get people is to be more aware of what they're doing. And that starts with the basics of just looking at what you're eating and how you're eating and your lifestyle, and just starting with small steps and making small changes, because small changes add up. And you really want to create a healthy lifestyle. You don't just want to put yourself on a diet for the rest of your life.
Right. Now, we're going to go over a lot of topics here tonight, but first we want to let our viewers know that Eva is here because she's going to be appearing at the Washington Township Town Library doing a program in June, starting in June, but then every Wednesday in July. And there's the information that you can see on our screen from Washington Township Public Library. Starting Thursday, June 12th, healthy meal planning made easy.
It really is. Eating healthy is not as hard as we make it out to be.
So. Yep. And then into July, we have the 2nd, I've got greens, now what? And then the 9th, saluting our summer salads. That'll be fun, going to the farmers markets and whatnot.
Sure.
July 16th, skinny dipping and lightweight dressings. Ah, that'll be fun. I hear yogurt in the background.
Yeah.
July 23rd, a bathing suit worthy barbecue. And July 30th, top tips for healthy living. Now, we don't want to give away everything tonight, but we'll cover some of those topics as we go through here. Where should we start? Go ahead.
We could start anywhere.
Anywhere. Okay, but background. You had been in business and had various and sundry jobs, a lot of them stressful, that led you up to a very unhealthy situation.
Very high stress, corporate type jobs, project management, and just a horrible lifestyle. I traveled a lot for work over the years and just forgot to take care of myself and let stress, and we all know what stress can do to us. It's just one of the worst things we can do to ourselves. And really just got into some really bad habits. And you don't realize it as you're doing it. And it takes a wake-up call sometimes, and you have to wrap your head around it and just decide you really shouldn't do this anymore, and then just make changes to start healthier.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter your age. I work with individual clients, and they run the age range from 20 to over 80.
Wow.
I mean, it's never too late to start being healthy.
Yeah.
Never.
We were talking, so that our audience knows, we were talking a little bit earlier, going over a lot of the points of healthy eating and healthy living, which starts early. We try and start kids on this sort of thing. We've already heard the message, too much sugar, too much fat, too much this and that. So we're all conscious of that. We're aware of that now these days. And how do we get kids to eat healthy when that's that sugary treat they really want?
Yeah, that's a hard one. And I guess the best part is try not to start them down that path. You know, we'll talk a little bit more later about marketing to kids and how, you know, they get grabbed in from the grocery aisles of things that they want to be eating, and it's really not anything they should be eating. But it's always, I always say, especially when you're craving sweets and things, we don't eat enough natural sweets. You know, bring more fruits in, bring more sweeter vegetables in, instead of reaching for, you know, a box of cookies or some sweet treat.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to fend it. You don't hit that craving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon if you've given yourself, over the course of the day, some healthier versions of sweeter foods.
Yeah. My downfall, like many people's, is chocolate.
Chocolate's not bad for you.
Yay! I like you.
Really
That's
not,
a good
it's
one.
not. Anything in moderation is really not that bad for you.
Yeah, okay, you can stay. The marketing to kids, we all know it. I think most of the viewing audience, us, we grew up with, oh, this is in the sugary cereal box, get this toy, eat this kind of a breakfast, and it does throw your body out of kilter during the day.
Yes, any kind of processed food, anything high in sugar, high fructose corn syrup, with any kind of chemical preservatives really takes its toll on your endocrine. All your hormones get out of whack. Your body doesn't really know what to do with it. And the same holds true sometimes with the artificial sweeteners. It doesn't know the difference between an artificial sweetener and a natural sugar, and your body, everything just gets so out of whack. And it's such an addictive, sugar is so addictive. Yeah,
and kids aren't able to sort out what's happening to them. Adults who are under stress and have other concerns aren't really aware of what's happening to them. So maybe our discussion in your program at the Township Library can be a wake-up call that way. You just touched on something that I think is really important, the artificial sweeteners. They fake your tongue into thinking you're having something sweet, but they don't fake your body, and your body is still craving more and more food, is my understanding of it.
Right, and it also, it actually, your body, from an insulin reaction-based level, it doesn't know the difference. It knows that a sweetened thing has entered your body, and it reacts as if you're eating sugar. So while you're not getting the calories, you're throwing off your hormones again just by using artificial sweeteners. I mean, and again, anything chemically, I can't go too good with anything that's been chemically treated or, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
All natural is always the best way to go.
Right. Now, we focus mainly on food, so let's turn to our labels portion of the program.
Okay.
We've got a few things here on the table, and one of my favorite little treats is oh, these terrible jawbreakers. They're all full of chemical dyes. I like to have one once in a while. You can see it's still full. I've had this for months, but it's still full, so I'm not overdoing it. But the ingredients list includes maltodextrin, corn syrup, malic acid, artificial colors, artificial flavors, calcium stearate, and carnauba wax.
Okay, how many of those things do you actually know what they are, first of all? So rule number one when you're reading a label, whether it's for a food or an over-the-counter medication or anything, you want to look at your ingredients first. Don't go right to the calories part, because what's actually more important is what's in what you're eating. So go small. Go for a very small ingredient list. They say 7 ingredients or less, which is actually very hard unless you're eating a close to natural food.
Right.
Look for things, if you can't pronounce it, you can't spell it, sounds familiar from chemistry in high school, don't go with it, because it's not good for you.
You want to share some of your little gems here?
I mean,
She's all ready
I've
for
got all
this
kinds of
discussion.
things.
While you pick one out there, I will point out that I was in a store once, and a lady was reading through stuff, and there was this word she couldn't pronounce, and it was tocopherol.
Right.
And she said, well, you know, it can't be good for you. And I'm thinking, that's vitamin E.
It is, but it could be a very not a natural form of vitamin E.
Ah.
So you really do have to be careful, but you also have to decide, you know, you can't be so regimented that you're not going to eat, because that's not going to help you in the long run either.
Right.
But you just really have to be aware of what you're doing. So we've got unbleached flour, niacin, ferrous sulfite, iron, thiamine mononitrate, which they say they add vitamins in for.
Hold it up. we're
Sugar, high oleic, canola oil, palm oil, cocoa, baking soda, cornstarch, salt, soy lecithin, something else I can't pronounce. There is some chocolate in there, and some other things that
we're being nice to the manufacturer,
yes,
but this is a very familiar,
cookie. Yes,
very familiar cookie.
It had what, probably 12 ingredients, and maybe 1 or 2 of them was an actual natural ingredient.
Yeah.
So just be careful. Like, again, don't go to the nutrition information first. Read your ingredients and really make your first decision. It's like a multi-level decision.
Yeah.
Decide if you're going to go down that road.
Yeah, conversely, okay, she read off a whole bunch of ingredients, and conversely, here is a jar of homemade jam.
Probably has 3 ingredients in it.
It has some water, actually 3 or 4. Some water, a little lemon juice, pectin, and a ton of sugar.
Right.
Got to tell you, otherwise the jam doesn't set up. But the peaches came locally here in Bergen County, a familiar farm to anybody who's around the Washington Township area. So I like to think it's healthy. I don't eat a ton of it. I put a little on the bread, and it enhances my morning. So homemade, more or less natural.
Local,
yeah.
Close to organic, I bet, with the peaches that you're getting. Yes, a high content of sugar. If you're not eating it by like 1/4 cup at a time,
no.
You know,
Right.
again, pick your battles that you want to fight. So definitely that would be better than what I just read.
Yeah. I like what you were saying and have been saying, that it isn't dieting as such. It's watching what you eat.
Yeah, we spend billions and billions of dollars on diet aids, programs, gym memberships, diet foods, billions and billions of dollars a year, yet we are the most overweight country in the world. So diet food and dieting, I think, has proven over the past 50 years that we're not getting any healthier. We're getting more diets out there, we're getting more, you know, cookie cutter dieting type things, but we're not, as a group, we're not getting any healthier.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's a tremendous irony that we hire someone to do the lawn, which we have to pay for, and then we pay to go to the gym.
Exactly. Natural physical exercise is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
One of the best things you can do.
Exactly. Some of the medicines we take in have, and everybody's familiar with the liquid that helps us all get through aches and pains of children and whatnot. And when I'm looking at this, when I'm looking at another allergy remedy, I look also at not just the ingredients, but the inactive ingredients, because they can be kind of interesting.
They add a lot of fillers, and a lot of times, especially with medications in liquid forms, there's sweeteners, and cough drops are one of the worst things for sugar. I mean, you know, you have to really look at your labels. It's almost as bad as eating a piece of candy, and here, you know, you're not feeling well and you need something, but yeah, it can really be more careful with what you're buying. Because
Right.
we are, in a way, where it's getting better because there are more choices out there if you pay attention to what you're buying.
Yeah.
So.
Indeed. Sometimes it's too much. It's like, I just want that.
You know what? I go with an 80-20 rule. If I can be good 80% of the time, the rest of the 20% of the time, I'm not going to get overly concerned about it.
Forgive yourself once in a while.
Exactly. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect.
Yeah. I also like the concept that we really do have to pay attention to our bodies. They are sacred. We got to
Yes.
live with them.
We only get one.
You only get one, right? Right. The exercise, the nutrition, the balance in life, taking a rest.
Yes, absolutely. Sleep, rest, stress reduction. We call them, in the practice that I use, we call them primary foods, and they're not actually the foods that you put in your mouth. It's having a career and doing something that you love. It's surrounding yourself with positive relationships, having a spiritual practice, whatever that may be, and having some kind of physical activity. Those are your primary foods, and all of that should be in balance in addition to the food that you're eating.
Yeah.
So it's a whole body, mind, body, spirit connection to try to keep that healthy lifestyle going.
One of the things that seems to me is a challenge in our area, maybe it's everywhere, I look at young people who have to go out and make it, who have to prove to the boss that they're tough enough to do the hours, to do the job, and they don't get a chance. They end up neglecting. I remember in my office watching people survive on coffee and something out of the snack machine, and it was not necessarily a lifestyle choice. It's what they
Right.
felt they had to do in
Right.
order to get the income, in order to keep going.
That's true, and everybody's at a point in their life, at some point they have to go through that. The best advice I can give at that point is to, as best you can, plan ahead. Have things in your house that are healthier choices than a vending machine. Bring things with you. Be a bringer. I call myself a bringer. I bring 70% of what I eat to work with me.
Yeah.
And the part of it is you do have to be a little bit prepared for yourself so that it's easy to grab. You can grab and go.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us have forgotten that it's much cheaper to go to the store, get the ingredients, make your sandwich, make your salad,
Sure.
than it is to buy something, even though the balance is, do you buy it or do you put the time in?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's much healthier choices when you eat out now. Obviously you could go get a burger and fries and that's fast and easy, but there's always a salad, there's always a chicken, there's usually a healthier choice you can make if you can do that.
Do you have your first topic in July is going to be on greens? What are your favorite greens to cook up?
Oh, it depends on the season. I'm a big seasonal eater because I like to eat what's fresh currently. The spring and the summer is wonderful. You get the Swiss chards and the spinach. Swiss chards are probably one of my favorites. I admit I eat kale. I've tried it many different ways, and the more you eat it, the better it gets. And if you prepare it correctly, it actually is very good.
Yeah.
But I'm a big leafy green eater.
Yeah.
That has such a great benefit in all aspects.
Right.
They're really just so good for you. And you can eat, that's the other thing about eating healthier foods is that another thing you want to try to do is if you add in all the healthy foods, you can eat volumes. And you don't have to worry about calories. If you're filling with vegetables and low sugar fruits, you can eat more volume of that and really fill yourself up on the good things.
Yeah.
So you're not looking for the snacky things as you go.
Right, indeed.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about, things you may not know what to do with when you hit the farmer's market. I know when I first started eating healthy, I didn't know what half of the stuff was. But now I'm well versed, and we're going to talk about certain things you should look for in the different seasons as you go through.
That's great, yeah, because if we can carry over that fad in the current the current fad in restaurants right now, locavore, fresh,
farm to table, sure.
And if you can bring that into your house, all the better.
Absolutely, and we are the Garden State. We have great farmers markets, especially in Bergen County.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
And we have a lot of them. Like you can go to a farmer's market. There's probably 4 days a week you could hit one.
Yeah. The other thing too. I think people need to be aware of the source of those foods. The local stuff is great. But when you go into the store and it's the middle of winter and you see a nectarine, where the heck did that come from? Now, I think people aren't aware that we really do have international commerce in agriculture now, because in South America, things come to, you know, beautiful summer.
Different season.
Different season.
Right.
Beautiful summer fruits come in and they sell them to us. Overall, that can be a good thing unless they're picked too early, then they don't taste right. And one thing people have to be aware of also, again, consider the source. Is that country from which your food is coming using the same standards for pesticides and herbicides, et cetera, et cetera? It's just something to be aware of.
Yeah, and it's good now that they do actually, they're required to label the source of the produce and things now. So you can actually make a very good informed decision of where your stuff's coming from when you're buying it.
Yeah.
So that's great. And
out of season is out of season, but sometimes that's okay.
And that is okay to a certain degree, but always try to find what's local and what's seasonal as best you can.
Yeah, indeed. Barbecue. I mean, I like barbecue, but isn't that inherently fat?
It is the way we currently eat them, yes.
Oh.
There's ways you can bring, and a lot of what I try to do with folks is I actually try to have them think outside of the box and come up with a healthier version of what they're currently eating. Because we all have our go-to foods. I mean, I used to have a long list of go-to foods, but I've cleaned a lot of them up, and now I have a new list of go-to foods that actually I had an awakening one day. I was eating a quinoa dish with spinach and garbanzo beans. I'm like, this used to be macaroni and cheese, and now I'd rather have this than that. So it does, you can change your taste buds, and you will.
People don't experiment enough with grains, in my opinion.
Absolutely not.
Quinoa, if you like Mexican food, go have some bowl of quinoa. You'll think you're having a tortilla.
Yeah.
It's the flavor is so similar.
And it's wonderful. It's a superfood, and it's got a great amount of protein.
Easy to cook up.
Much faster than brown rice.
Yeah.
Cooks a lot faster than rice, and you do get a really healthy dose of whole grains and protein together, and that's very balanced right there, all by itself.
There was one time, and I've lapsed on this, but there was one time I would have millet with some fish in it in the morning with some lemon juice. That was really good, and it's brain food.
Exactly, that's a perfect way to start your day. And everybody should always eat breakfast, regardless.
Yeah.
It really is. I know we've heard it our whole lives, but it really is the most important meal of the day. And eating meals are important. 3 meals a day. You may want to fill in with a snack if you need to, but you really should try to eat 3 balanced meals a day, because that keeps your blood sugar level and your energy level.
Blood sugar level, cravings. Let's talk about those two things.
Cravings.
Yeah, cravings.
So many reasons for cravings.
Yeah.
It could be the fact that you're already high dosing sugar, and as your blood sugar drops back down, you need it again, and then it goes back up, and then it goes down, and you need it again. So you get yourself in a cycle, and it's hard to break that cycle. It's very addictive. A lot of cravings, though, is the body telling you you're needing something and you just don't know what it is yet. There's also a lot of emotional reasons for cravings that aren't related to being hungry, and that's probably the biggest reason for cravings that I've found, is that you're not really craving the food, you're experiencing some other emotion. You're bored, you're stressed, you're lonely, you're tired. So what do? We eat, because the sugar and the white flours and the processed foods make us feel better. But again, it's about identifying what's really going on and then finding ways to switch out of that.
Right, especially at TV time.
Oh, I'm the worst in the evening. Forget it.
That's why I started crocheting it.
Exactly.
When I watch TV, to do something other than this.
A big thing, and it's such a great trick, and it really does work, is when you feel that coming on, you really have to take a 10-second break and ask yourself, and I do it out loud because I find it works better if I say it out loud. Am I really hungry? Physically hungry? 90% of the time, I'm not.
Or, you know what's another good thing that I've just started doing recently, and again, I credit the library with this because we've been having chair yoga. I realize I've been sitting too long, whether it's reading or it's TV, and so I'll get up and I'll do some gentle movements, stretches, little things that don't disrupt the household.
Right. You don't want to be
But then your mind gets in a different place.
Yes.
And you're actually a little more alert, you're a little less vulnerable to those cravings.
Right. Well, 2 points to that is if you're, the best thing you can do when you take that 10-second break is to get up and get out of the room you're in. Change of scenery often can break that craving, because your mind will go, like you said, your mind will go somewhere else. The other thing, and I don't, I'm not going to say it's true or not, I just found it fascinating, was a study that was done that says sitting for extended periods of time is almost as detrimental to your body as smoking.
Yes,
that
I
our
remember
bodies were meant to be in motion. So I work at a desk all day. I try to get up every 5 to 10 minutes. Just stand up and sit down. If you don't have time for a walk or you're on a conference call or something, stand up, sit down every couple of minutes, and that will really help keep the blood circulation and just give you a little bit of a boost. We're not meant to sit still.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I loved having my kids when they were little. I could run around at the park and I didn't look like a fool. I was just mommy at the park.
You can still do it. No one cares.
Yeah, right. One of the things that's really hard to cope with is food allergies.
Yes.
How do you know you've got an allergy? I mean, some things are real obvious.
Yes.
But then there's the more subtle things. We were talking earlier about the gut.
Yes.
And allergies. So there's a whole bunch of different ways that it manifests.
Yes, and unfortunately, you know, allergies can manifest into what we consider, sadly, are how we normally feel. We're tired, we're moody, we're anxious, we have food cravings, we're nauseous, we're bloated. All of that can be a symptom of a food allergy. If someone's really thinking they're having a problem, or they really want to start looking at how they're feeling, we start taking out the common allergens. We put them on. We try what's called an elimination diet. So you remove the allergens, the high allergen food, and then really pay attention to how you're feeling. Are you getting headaches? Are you, is your stomach bothering you? Are you tired? Are you moody? And it's amazing what you can learn about yourself. And then we gradually bring foods back in one at a time. And 9 times out of 10, you can actually pinpoint a certain food group that might be bothering you.
Yeah, I was I was teaching a Sunday morning class, and there was a little girl who always had dark circles around her eyes. And I thought, there's something the matter here. And then a couple of weeks later, it was, she's highly gluten intolerant. And it was that allergy was coming out with the circles around her eyes. Right. And so, like I said, there's lots of different ways that allergies manifest. It can be that weird feeling in your gut. It can be the eyes. I mean, it's not always hives and swelling.
No, it's very, food allergies, unless you're truly hyperallergic, it can be any symptoms. I'm gluten-free myself, gluten intolerant, and when I had a lot of issues a couple years ago, it turned out I was allergic to almost everything.
Wow.
But I removed everything, and it's a food allergy if you remove it. I went from horribly sick to almost well in about 2 weeks by just removing the foods. And then you need to let your gut heal, because the allergy is creating an inflammatory process, and it's not, your intestinal tract can't do what it needs to do. Right. So it needs to rejuvenate and get back to normal.
And it's not overnight. We have to remind people it's not going to happen overnight.
Fast. No fad. Fad diets work in that you could, theoretically you could drop 5 pounds in 10 days, but you'll never keep them off, because whatever you did is not sustainable.
Yeah.
So, and it's not, it's a slow process. It didn't take 2 days to come on. It's not going to take 2 days to come off.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Yeah. We have got coming to the theaters in a timely fashion, at least as we are recording today, the movie Fed Up, which is narrated by Katie Couric, and a very interesting review that was run in the Bergen Record, calling out corporations over childhood obesity. And this is a review by Roger Moore of the McClatchy Tribune News Service. This is really worth reading through the review, because it points out the role of marketing, the role of big business in our food system. And I grew up near the San Joaquin Valley, so I'm aware of the issues that farmers and agricultural enterprises have. The consumer wants a perfect looking food. They want it at a particular season, and they have to get it to market. There's so much that goes into agriculture, and I'm very aware of that. We're not slamming anybody here, but the role that the conglomerates play in influencing the way we eat And even our environment in Florida, of course, they've had problems, well, anywhere really. If you've ever heard about the Kesterman area in the San Joaquin Valley, the swamps in Florida, anywhere else, we use so many fertilizers and pesticides. They all accumulate somewhere, and that affects the environment, and all to put food on our plate that we find acceptable.
Right, because you're right. No one wants an apple that's got a blemish or a discolored orange that's not orange. A lot of the stuff we're so used to eating is we don't even know what it should look like naturally. We see it in a natural state and we think it's bad. But that's really the best way you could eat it, because that's what it's supposed to look like. We didn't start having this obesity epidemic until we started getting business involved in what we were eating. When we ate naturally off the land, and our grandparents and our forefathers, we were not in this state that we are today. Yeah. So.
Yeah, a lot of my family on my father's side were farmers, and you bet they ate high-fat, high-calorie foods, and then went out in the fields and worked it off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect balance right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live that life. It's a rough life.
It is a very rough life.
A very rough life, and I appreciate the work that goes into it, but they used calories differently than we do in our sedentary lives.
So we should be watching more of, we don't have the active life that we used to have, so we'll bring in as much activity as we can, but therefore, we have to really start watching what we're putting in ourselves. Like you said, our body's our temple.
Yeah, exactly.
Treat it the way you want it to treat you back.
Right. Let's see. We know about statistics. If anybody visits Eva's website, they'll see those statistics. The relationship between healthcare costs and health.
It's crazy. It's crazy. They say that 75% of healthcare costs are spent on preventable illnesses that are preventable by lifestyle changes. To me, that's like a no-brainer. Why aren't we fixing our lifestyles to fix this problem? Healthcare costs are through the roof, and healthcare reform and everything else, but we're not fixing our own problems. At an individual, individually we can take care of ourselves,
Indeed. And there's the genetic component of taking care of ourselves. I was giving an example here where I know two boys, one, same family. One grew up to be very heavy, and the other grew up to be very thin, and they had similar lifestyles, similar eating patterns, similar activities. So genetics is in there somewhere. Somebody got the good load and somebody got the bad load.
Or they got a different load.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of why I don't feel that dieting works. You and I can't be on the same diet. We're completely different physiological structures. So what's going to work for you may not work for me. And that's why it's so important to find out what's working for you.
Yeah, indeed.
But genetics does play a role.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
I think, were there any things that we've talked about here that you wanted to expand on? Are there any things that you want to bring forward?
A lot of what we're going to do at the library, we're going to look at some healthy recipe makeovers. Some of the topics, we're going to help people make healthier choices when they're cooking and shopping and things like that. And it's just about bringing awareness. Maya Angelou, may she rest in peace, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
So I feel it's my mission to go out and help people become informed and educated so they can make a better choice of what they're doing.
Get the kids into the kitchen so they can have the fun of it. So once again, at Washington Township Library, Thursday, June 12th, Eva will have her first program on healthy meal planning, and then she'll go in on every Wednesday in July and have expanded topics. We didn't want to give everything away here tonight. So that is our message for tonight. Eat healthy, be healthy. Go to the library, and we will be able to give you more information then. As we wrap up the show tonight, this happens to be, we're approaching our primary time here in Bergen County and other places, and we do have one announcement for the Washington Township viewers. We would like to point out that there has been a change in polling places, that the schools are not going to be used this time around, that voting districts 1, 3, and 5, which used to be at Jesse George School, are going to be at the Municipal Library, the famous Washington Township Library on Woodfield, Finnerty. And the districts 2, 4, and 6, which had been voting at Washington School, will come to the municipal building here at 350 Hudson Avenue. And again, be aware of this as we come up to primary and other voting times, that it has changed here in Washington Township, 07676 Washington Township. We do like to make that clear here in New Jersey. There's more than one. So let us wrap up this evening. That was our public service announcement. Our other public service is good health,
yes,
good times with Eva, and we will sign out our Exit 168 show this evening. I'd like to thank our volunteers on camera this evening. We've got Shane and Ida and Larry and Fred. In our control room we have Alicia and Renee and Ricky, the genius and guru behind this all. So we thank you very much. We hope to see you again in our coming shows. We've got a good lineup coming up ahead, and have a good evening. Thank you and good night.